Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome back to PG-13 Movie Month. Now, I'm going to be reviewing a 2005 remake that came out, over 10 years ago. I saw the theatrical cut of it, so I'm not talking about the extended cut. It's already long enough to talk about. And that is the 2005 live-action remake of King Kong, the Peter Jackson version. I didn't review this yet, and I want to get it done. So, I saw this film in the theater when I was in college, like after I took some final exams, and it's a good movie, but good God, are there some problems compared to the original from the 30s. So I'll get my problems out of the way first. One, the movie is way too long. I know it's a Peter Jackson movie, but Meet the Feebles is not 3 hours. Neither is Bad Taste or Dead Alive or some of his early work. It wasn't until Lord of the Rings that he really stretched out his running time. Now, there's a lot of padding in the film. The first hour of the movie, you don't even see Kong. It's just basically about Ann Darrow and Adrian Brody's character and Jack Black, who is kind of miscasted in this movie. Like, he can't compare to Robert Armstrong in the original. He can't. He's just thrown in there because he was a big actor at the time, and they said he could do anything. He could do comedy, he could do animated, we could do anything. And he just comes across as just there. I don't know what it is. Just seeing him in the movie's weird. Jumanji, you could take or leave, but here seems out of place. Once they get to the island, that's when the film get definitely kicks in. Second, like I said, some of the casting is off. Jax Black did not work well. He does his job in the movie, but he doesn't. He just seems out of place. Naomi Watts. This is the only film I've really liked her in. But even though she's serviceable in the movie, she is not Fay Ray from the original. Fay Ray was one of the most desirable women from Canada in any old movie in the 1930s. She was like Marilyn Monroe from Canada, and she just had those big expressive eyes and classic look to her. Here, she Naomi Watts looks like Ann Darrow. Her nose is a little bit big, but she's nice to look at. That's all she is there for, pretty much. All the guys look at her, and Adrian Brody kisses her, and of course Kong wants her because in all the versions of Kong in the U.S., he always wants the blonde. The original, the '76 remake, and this one. Even Kong Skull Island, which I like it more than this only because it's way shorter. And as a guy that has ADD, something shorter will beat something longer any day, especially when it's a movie that's an alternative to the remake of Kong. But other than that, those are like my two main problems. The movie's way too long. You could cut half of the freaking movie's running time. Like an hour of the movie could have been trimmed, and the extended cut's like 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'm like, Jackson, it worked in Lord of the Rings. It doesn't work here. There's just way too much in this movie. It's too long. It's not like too long. Oh, I hate this movie. No, the first hour could have been trimmed down because they spend the opening is amazing. I love the opening where you have that Al Jolson song, singing a song. It reminds me of the 30s version. And, the look of New York is fine. They recreated it well. It's not a beat for beat remake of the original, so I appreciate that. I love the special effects. The CGI looks great on Kong. It's motion. I know it's motion capture with Andy Serkis, Sean. You don't have to tell me in the comments. I saw this movie before you. I saw this in the theater on opening night in the middle of December. It was freezing out. I was tired from taking 3 examinations, and I still enjoyed myself. It's just way too long. It feels just epically long, but in a way that's like it's padded out. And because it's Peter Jackson, I should have expected this. But anyway, the acting's not the problem. I like both of the actors. Adrian Brody serves his purpose, and Naomi Watts and Jack Black. Well, he's there. He's not really. The rest of the cast is fine. The Islanders look a lot more creepy in this version. They have like black makeup, and they look more scary than in the original. Like I said, the motion capture on Kong looks fantastic. Even for 2005, these were groundbreaking effects. Before those Planet of the Apes movies pretty much stole from this. Let's face it, they did. They just did the motion capture with smaller apes instead of a giant gorilla. This is an epic freaking gorilla who's been in cinema since 1933. Those eight movies didn't come out till 1968, and then it had a remake that sucked, and then they had to reboot it again. Here, you had the classic original, the remake from '76, which is kind of underrated, and then a shitty sequel. What was it? Kong's King Kong Lives. Yeah, I didn't even finish that movie. But yeah, this one it's good, but it's just trim it down. Jackson, there's a lot of padding scenes where nothing is happening. It's just it takes them like an hour to get to the island, and once they get to the island, like I said, they kidnap Ann Darrow. She gets tied up just like in the original, and then Kong shows up, and he looks badass. He's doing this, and the V Rexes, the giant dinosaurs, look great. They look like Jurassic Park. Look a lot better than the effects in Jurassic World. Like I said, the when they gas Kong, it's sad because they're gonna take him to New York. You know the gist. It was too beauty, tis beauty to kill the beast. Yeah, that's from the original, and yeah, like I said, the action is well done. Jackson knows how to get great wide shots. He knows how to film scenes that are beautifully shot. Like scenes that don't look cheap. It looks like it has a budget. The movie cost $200 million. Of course, it's gonna look good. And this was before Avatar, so this wasn't like uh, like freaking too much CG. I'm not gonna say there was too much CG. It looks good. Kong skating on the ice in New York at the third act is silly, but whatever. They gave him more expression. He looks that my aunt, my late aunt, the rest her soul, she said that Kong looked old in the movie, but this was years after the original, so I can give that a pass. And his frown's like, his expression is when he kills the V Rexes and Ann Darrow. Yeah, she is a damsel in distress. She was in the original. You're not gonna see her. You're not gonna see her, with a gun and being a badass like Ellen Ripley in Aliens or Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. No, this is not her character. So it's fine. And there's the scene where she's juggling to amuse Kong and dancing and whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's charming for what it is. It was a movie of its time. But like I said, the film looks great. Jackson's cinematography, the cinematography looks great. The effects look great. The sound and the music is really well done. It captures the spirit of the original, so that's one of the good things about it. That it's not a carbon copy. At least it's not an episode 7, so I can give it that. And the film, when they get to New York, Kong, they display him as an exhibit. He gets loose. They try to fool him with another blonde. He's like, "Who are you? You're not Ann Darrow." And he throws her. That was funny when he breaks out of into Manhattan and he's running around the city. It looks cool. It's definitely something I remember. Like I said, Adrian Brody and Naomi Watts together, they're not as good as Bruce Cabot and Faye Ravens from the original. But if you have not seen the original, I recommend you see that first. It's way shorter. It's a classic. It's a black and white movie, but don't let that fool you. The effects for the time were fantastic. They were stop motion by Willis O'Brien that still hold up. The '76 remake is good, but it also is a little too long. And this then see this one. It's good. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Like Transformers, they just stretch it out to be stupid and put fart jokes and whatever, and jokes that dogs humping and people that don't serve a purpose. There's no real comic relief in the movie. I mean, I remember the scene with the bugs here. That was not in the original, so that was something welcome because that's when they're on the island. It's not when they're in the going to look for Ann Darrow in the freaking in New York City. But yeah, the bug scene was pretty creepy. I didn't see that coming. These giant like what was it, centipedes and ants and whatever, and spiders, I believe. So yeah, it's Peter Jackson knows how to do effects. He did it for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and the budget. I think it won an Oscar for best visual effects. It definitely was nominated for one because it does look really good. And this movie's 13 years old. It will be in December. So, like I said, this is a King Kong remake that actually was warrant a remake because the last remake was in 1976, so it was a long time ago. And it is it is more faithful to the original. The remake in '76 was in New York, but he doesn't go on the top of the Empire State Building. He goes on top of the World Trade Center, which doesn't exist anymore. And in the original, it didn't exist yet. So I like that. I like the way New York looks. I'm a New Yorker myself, so I have a comfort for movies that take place in New York that are well done. and there's not much of a foreign cast in the movie. I don't believe so. Some of the side characters are kind of useless. You know, the crew that goes with them to the island, they're like kind of forgettable. I don't remember who they are. I just remember Jack Black, Adrian Brody, Naomi Watts, and like the Islanders. That's pretty much it. But that's good enough. You know, the movie is a good remake. It's not for everybody because the running time is going to definitely drain your battery. If you're expecting this to be an hour and a half, no. It is 3 hours. If I ever see the extended cut, I have to see it on a day that I have nothing to do that I could kill 3 hours. I'm like, okay, I'll see it. And it's been a while, so it's a good movie, well shot, well made, good cast for the most part, except for Jack Black. He's just kind of miscasted here. Good effects, good story, and is it rewatchable? Yeah, but there's I think the first hour you can easily cut at least some of it, trim it down a little bit, and just and they meet Anne. They say, "Hey, you want to be a movie star?" And they film her with an old school camera. Then we go to the island, and that's it. You don't have to stretch it out with long periods of dialogue. This is not a Christopher Nolan movie. Even he cut down Dunkirk. That movie probably was going to be 3 hours, but he said no, an hour and 40 is fine. You don't have to make a movie long just to be long, especially December films. Lord of the Rings was a huge, massive book. This is a movie based on the original 30s film that was only an hour and 40. It was not 3 hours. And movies back then couldn't be 3 hours unless your name is Gone with the Wind, which, good God, that movie's way too long. It's just, when a movie feels long, it feels long. That was a long movie, but I didn't feel any of it. That was a long movie. I didn't feel any of it. That was a long movie. I didn't feel it. That was a long movie. So was that. So is the original Star Wars and the prequels, and they didn't feel long. But when you can cut stuff out, please do so. Editors, do your job. Don't edit the action. That's good. It's well done. I love the action with the V Rexes. In the original, it was just one Tyrannosaurus Rex. Here, it's three. So it had a Jurassic Park feel. The spectacle of the movie really saves it because if it didn't, this would be a 3 hour drama, and I would be like, no, I'm going to take a nap because, like I said, you have to get my attention to take over an hour to see Kong. That's what Kong Skull Island did better. So you're gonna disagree with me. The cast was forgettable. Whatever. I like the cast, and it's a much faster paced movie, and it's shorter. So you couldn't have a 3 hour Kong movie with him against Godzilla. That would just be too long because audiences can't take a long running time anymore, especially when it's been done already. Here, it's a good remake. It's one of the few good remakes of the 2000s and the 2010s because considering the remakes we've gotten over the last 10 years, this isn't one of them. This isn't a bad one. It's actually good for a watch. And rewatching it, yeah, if you take a year not to rewatch it, it's fine because it's a long movie to get through. But I thought Peter Jackson did a good job. I like that the original Anne Darrow, Fay Ray actually gave her blessing for Naomi Watts to play the role. So it wasn't like an ill-fated. It got a good critical reception, got like an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's a well-respected remake. Considering the shitty remakes we got from the horror genre and from action films and all this, this is at least a step above those. Because I'll take this over the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, or RoboCop, or Total Recall, or Point Break, or freaking uh, other movies. Hell, The Force Awakens. That's a remake of A New Hope. I'm sorry, no imagination. At least this movie did a few things, a handful of things different from the original 30s film, and I've seen the original a lot, so I remember it like by heart. And you pretty much know what to expect. If you've seen the original, you know what happens to Kong at the end in this and in the remake from '76. But if you want to kill a lot of time because summer's not over, I recommend the King Kong remake from 2005. But in my opinion, I still think Kong Skull Island just delivered more for me. More of Kong, less padding, and it's a much faster paced movie. And it's going to lead up to an awesome freaking showdown rematch between Kong and Godzilla, which I'm really looking forward to. So take that for what you will, guys. If you don't like this movie, I can understand. It's a very long movie to get through, and I know long movies. I've seen all the Lord of the Rings films in the theater, extended. That means that with the added scenes that made them 3 hours. Yeah, I've seen long movies in the theater. All three Avengers movies, The Force Awakens, which was a freaking that was a chore to get through. The Star Wars prequels, freaking no, Wizard of Oz is not that long, but you get my gist. I've seen a lot of long movies. I saw all five Die Hard movies in the theater in a marathon. That was over 10 hours, 2 hours apiece. But yeah, I know long, but you have to keep the pacing going. You cannot stop the movie for an hour and say, "Hey, we're gonna just dick around and just make the movie padded out." I'm like, Jackson, you could do better than that. Hire editors that know what they're doing and trim scenes that could be a lot shorter. In the remake of '76, there's a lot of scenes on the boat that I'm like, nope, just get me to the island. I'm happy with that. The guy in the suit banging his chest, it's fine, and Jessica Lange's gorgeous body. So yeah, I'm a simple guy, guys. Just entertain me. Don't don't pad out the running time. They do that too much now. I bet Avatar 2 is going to be 4 hours because the original was 3 hours and 15 minutes. I'm like, too long. Cut it. Cut cut it out. That's my last words for this review. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I hope you do see this remake before you see Kong Skull Island and before you see Kong versus Godzilla in the next decade. That's going to be freaking awesome. They could put the worst actors in that movie, and like I said, as long as you got those two fighting for half the movie, I'm happy because they're both iconic, they're both kings, and they both kick ass. And this movie's good. It's a good movie. It's definitely one of Peter Jackson's best films that he's done that's not a major franchise. That's not, a bunch of movies. It's just one. But he did a good job. I give him credit for that. So thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.